Hi, everybody. Welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all so much for being here. For those of you who may have just joined the show for the first time, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And everyone, please don't forget to give the show a like because believe me, you're going to love this show tonight. My guest tonight is Andrea Perron, my dear friend. She has written the book the House of Darkness, House of Light, Volume 1, which was the inspiration for the movie The Conjuring. She also has written Volume 2 and 3, which makes it a trilogy. Andrea is also a host with George Lopez Tuesday evenings on A World Awakening on blogtalkradio.com, Dead Air. So with that, everyone, I am so excited. Let's bring Andrea onto the show. Hey, Andrea, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Oh my gosh, I've been so looking forward to this ever since the moment we booked it. I was like, yes, I finally get to say everything that I want to on the subject that's more important to me than anything.
So let's talk about the topic tonight. It's the awakening your consciousness, spirituality, and vibration. And I'm telling you, I'm really excited about this topic. So how would you like to start off with this?
Well, last year, actually last October, I did a lecture called The Metamorphosis. And metamorphosis means transmutation, a shift or a change from becoming one thing to becoming another. And in its most simplistic terms, you could say that when ice melts and becomes water, or water melts and becomes ice, it's exactly the same thing, but it's in a different form. And so it has undergone a metamorphosis in the same way that the chrysalis, once released, the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. It's the same creature. It has just cocooned and has developed and evolved, and then it gets too large for the enclosure in which it is encased, and it breaks free and takes wing to fly. And we human beings are very much like that. There are so many examples in nature. One of the things that I've talked about frequently, and I don't mean to leap into it right away, but it's appropriate, is the whole engagement with extraterrestrials. The best way to engage in make contact with extraterrestrials is through consciousness. It's communication through telepathy. It's contact through thought process. Now, I have written a piece recently that I will re-release so that everyone can read it about their presence here and around the planet. And my assertion in this particular piece is that they aren't here to save us. We have to save ourselves. But acknowledging their presence and knowing that we are not alone in the universe is reason enough for us to clean up our act on this planet and to save ourselves. Much like when I was a child and we were growing up, my sisters and I were growing up on the farm, and we had some chickens. And when the chickens laid eggs, my mother was very quick to remind us that we were not allowed to touch the eggs, and that when the babies started getting ready to hatch, that we could not, under any circumstances, touch that egg, because the reason that they gain the strength to survive is because they have to peck their own way out of that shell. And that exertion of energy, that expenditure of energy, is also what strengthens them. And when they break their own shell and they come out into the world, they're prepared for the world because of that process. In the same way that sea turtles have to dig their way out of the sand, little tiny babies, and make their way to the ocean. And that's what gives them the strength to survive in the ocean. There are examples all around us in nature of what we too go through, but we do so more on a spiritual level. And if we want to attain true enlightenment, which, by the way, is not easy, there's nothing easy about it. It's a very, very difficult process, and it involves pain and self-doubt and wonder. It's not a mystical woo-woo process. It's being smashed in the face with reality over and over and over again. It's understanding that every obstacle that comes flying down the path and tries to mow you over, you have to come to terms with. Life is nothing but a series of obstacles and tests and challenges. And it's incumbent upon us to figure out how to get around it, under it, over it, and not let us, be leveled on the pavement by this steamroller that's coming at us called life. I think essentially that life is a classroom, that we are essentially spiritual beings, that we're having a human experience at this time.
Andrea, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now, when you refer to spiritual growth, are you talking about religion?
No.
Okay,
Not at
so what are you referring to when you say spiritual?
It is entirely, make no mistake, I believe in the prime creator. I believe in God. I don't refer to it as he or she. I think of it as it, the infinite intelligence in the universe. I think that we are all a living, breathing manifestation of God consciousness. I believe that we are, and every other living soul on this planet, are the way in which God sees this world. And I think that when we understand and begin to go within, and that's really the only process that none of this can be fed to us. We can't be spoon-fed all of this and assimilate it. We have to experience it. All of the knowledge that we need to succeed in this life and to grow spiritually is already within us. So I think that it is more so the process of being silent and being in nature and listening to that inner voice, that consciousness. I know I talk frequently about a notion that I've considered a truism my whole life, and that is that thoughts are things, and that we can literally change this world, change ourselves, and change this world and heal this world with our own conscious thought, with our own intention. I'm absolutely certain of it. There's very little that I'm certain of in life, very little, but this I feel absolutely certain, that we can heal the world with our own thought process, cumulatively, and that every time that any one of us, now here, let me give you an example. Okay. Norene Balovich, I love you with all my heart. You are one of the most extraordinary, most beautiful, most gifted, loving, generous, kind women that I have ever known in my life, and I adore you. I just changed your vibration.
Yeah, you're going to make me cry. Yeah, you're going to make me cry is what you're going to do. Is that what you want to do?
I told you the truth.
Yeah.
I told you in words that are with the intention behind them to uplift you and to make you understand how precious and special you are, and you were changed because of it, and I spoke for 1 minute.
Wow. That's intense. That's totally intense, Andrea. You can't make me cry on my TV, on my show. and because you did that, that's an intent toward me, which is supposed to raise my vibration, right? My frequency.
It raised mine as well.
Yeah.
It raised mine as well.
Okay.
It's like the gift and the giver. When you give a gift to someone, you're really gifting yourself with the opportunity to give a gift to another. It's a cyclical process. It's not, I'm I'm taking something of mine, whether it be spoken word or, an actual tangible object like my coffee cup here, and giving it to you. But in the process of giving it to you, I am enriched. It's almost selfish. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, the natural order of balance, they say, is love, kindness, and caring for each other.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
an inversion to that is war, conflict, which is a distortion.
It's chaos.
Yes,
There
chaos.
is love, and then there is chaos.
Yes.
Some people think that the opposite of love is hate. Actually, the opposite of love is fear, and fear is chaos. Hatred is born of fear. Chaos is the creator of fear. That feeling that you're completely out of control. And here's the secret, one of them. Relax. None of us are in control of anything. Not anything. And it doesn't mean that this is a philosophical argument between free will and determinism. We have free will. We can choose to screw our lives up as much as we possibly want. We frequently do. But we are also determined to grow. It's a coupling of the two. In the same way of, in the Eastern philosophy, yin and yang, you can't have darkness without the light. You can't have light without the darkness. You cannot understand nor express love without understanding that it has a polar opposite. You cannot be good without the realization. We would never be able to distinguish good from evil. We love to label everything anyway. It's what human beings do. We stick a label on everything. But, there are some basic tenets that we live by. There is night and day, light and dark, good and evil. And the only way that we can distinguish what is good in this life is to know that it is juxtaposed against something that is not an expression of kindness, not an expression of generosity, that is an expression of power and control and malevolence. And it has to exist in order for us to have that balance. And I'll tell you, the wonderful news is that good conquers evil and love conquers fear, always. Because if it did not, none of us would be here anymore.
Interesting. Wow. Andrea, do you believe that everything happens for a reason?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I used to be more focused in on, I'm the master of the helm, I get to declare what my destiny will be. But I've learned as I've aged that my declaration of my destiny is because I'm having an ancient memory of what it's supposed to be.
An ancient memory?
Yes, I think that there's something that's, when they broke the human genome about 10, 12 years ago, the scientists that did it, I'm not taking anything away from their incredible work, it's amazing, but they identified approximately 20% of it that was responsible for this vessel, for how we are and what diseases we might carry, and our hair color and our eye color and our this and our that, our weight, our size, our height, etc. And then there was 80% of that DNA strand that they could not identify as anything. And so they called it junk DNA. That's the essence of who we are. That's the essence of our spiritual being. That's where we come from. That's where we're going. All of that, those 23 chromosomes that come together to create each and every one of us in a very distinct pattern, is the tip of the iceberg. And what it is, truly, that we are, is an expression of God consciousness. We are mind. We are all tapping into one divine mind.
Wow.
We each have individual brains, and that's an an organ, and it functions with, all kinds of synapses and snaps of light and fluid and electricity, and that's what runs our body and keeps our heart beating and all of that. But even the scientists are now saying that there is something that is generated, a vibration, an electrical energy that is vibrated from the human heart out, that they can't understand, but they can't deny.
Okay, now I was telling you earlier, I had read that the scientists believe that consciousness comes from our brain, and when our physical body dies, our brain dies, that our consciousness dies. But then I read an article from Dr. Gary Schwartz, a professor of psychology, and he also is studies the advances in consciousness and health at the University of Arizona, and he said that the sciences have failed to prove the brain is the creator of consciousness. And then Gary says consciousness does survive after death, that consciousness is energy and it can't die. So Andrea, where does that go? What happens with that?
Everything that we consider to be known, proved, empirical science was once pseudoscience. Everything that is now known was once unknown. And so what I do in terms of supernatural research and that type of thing is considered by the scientific community to be pseudoscience. But that's no different than what was being discovered by Copernicus and Galileo and Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein. All of that was theory, was all theory before it was proved. And so it seems to me that we are on a journey of exploration, and science has a tendency to dismiss out of hand anything that it does not understand, anything that is intangible, anything that is immeasurable, unquantifiable. And I get that. That's their job. But I've used several metaphors for this over the course of the years that I've been lecturing nationally. And one of them is, on the night of the full moon, as the earth is bathed in the bright light, does anyone doubt that the moon is in the sky, and there it is, and we see the light and bask in its glow? But does anyone suspect that it has somehow fled the scene and is in absentia on the night of the new moon when we cannot see it at all? Who doubts that it's still in the sky? It's there. We can't see the air that we breathe, but we can't live without it.
Exactly.
There's more of our existence, more of our reality is intangible than tangible. And when I say that thoughts are things, consider this. Nothing, just look around your desk in your office right now. Nothing that exists in your environment, nothing that exists in our environment that is man-made just came together by accident. Everything began as a thought, a concept, an idea, and invention. Every thought has the potential to become a thing. And so, when George and I do our show every Tuesday nights, A World Awakening, one of our metaphors is that, we don't know how many people are listening. We cannot quantify that. We don't know how many hearts we're touching, how many minds are being expanded. And once a human mind is expanded, it does not retract. It is expanded. And you've thought something new and different, and you've considered something in a new and unusual way. And therefore, your mind, not your brain, your mind has expanded. And so we talk about throwing pebbles in the pond, and how one tiny, tiny little pebble in the middle of a vast pond will create a series of concentric circles that will eventually make their way to the shoreline. And it might be almost undiscernible that they're so tiny, but it doesn't mean they're not there. So thoughts are things, and how we think about ourselves, about each other, about our planet, about our universe, and about all the creatures and beings that are contained within it is what has the capacity and the guarantee of not only changing us internally and causing us to open more to a sense of our own existence and our place in the universe, to feel such significance because we are part of the expression of God, our Creator. We are a living, breathing embodiment of God consciousness. And I do consider it to be the creative force in the universe. I'm sure science, if you've studied any science at all in physics, in quantum physics and quantum mechanics, there's this thing called the quark theorem. And that is that what science has said is that the space in between the molecules is as important as the molecules. That's the divine intelligence that holds them together. Simplified. That's it. Also, in my books, I know you've read my books, you might remember me writing about the great philosopher William Paley, 1,000 years ago, wrote The Watch and the Watchmaker. And his argument for the existence of God was that the world is a complicated place, has lots and lots and lots of little bits and pieces that bring it all together as a whole. Excuse me. And what are the chances that it all just kind of fell together this way? That all the stardust just kind of accumulated and came and bombarded this little tiny planet at the back end of a solar system, at the back end of the universe, and created life as we know it. His argument for the existence of God is that a watch, a pocket watch, if you open the back of it, is extremely complicated. And it could not have just come together and been formed by accident, that it had to have a creator. And he wrote a brilliant essay called The Watch and the Watchmaker. And it's been, God, I think in 1180, I'm not sure. Oh gosh, I should know this right off the top of my head. My philosophy professors would be so mad at me for not having this date right on the top of my lips. But William Paley wrote this, brilliant essay. Even St. Thomas Aquinas, who wrote after him in arguing for the existence of God, referred to his work because it makes no sense that everything that exists happened by accident. The chance of that are infinitesimal. It makes far more sense that there is divine guidance, that the stardust accumulated and became us for a reason. And so, yes, I believe that everything happens for a reason. Even the bad stuff happens for a reason. What we perceive, what we label to be bad, how many times in your life has something happened, gone awry, gone astray, sent you, flying off in a different direction at the speed of light, like one of my favorite sayings, like a witch on a stolen broomstick, and off you go, and you didn't expect it, and it wasn't supposed to happen that way, and that's not how it was planned, and yet everything worked out perfectly, and where you ended up, you later realize in hindsight, being 2020, that you are exactly, precisely where you belong, with the people you're supposed to be working with, involved with the environment that you're supposed to be in, that everything happened exactly the way that it was supposed to for you to have the outcome that you did.
So is that you putting out the intent, and then the frequency comes back that's all related to it?
The heightening of one's frequency, one's vibration, one's wavelength, as it were, occurs through the thought expansion process. And that's what's not easy, because when you're bombarded with new ideas, here's a case in point. So many of our readers for our new book, In a Flicker, which is a gory story. It's gruesome in some places in that book. It's just so hard to read, painful even, and yet it serves a purpose because it, the dedication is to the women of history who make history. And I tell people all the time, when you get to the end of In a Flicker, go back and read the dedication again, and it will say something entirely different to you. It will have an entirely new meaning to you, those few words, because your mind has expanded through the pain, through the pleasure, through the awkwardness, through what was so vile, what was so beautiful, what was so real, even though it in some places appears as a fantasy. And it expands human consciousness. The trilogy, House of Darkness, House of Light. I can't tell you how many people have written to me, Norene, and said, I don't think about anything the same way again now that I've read your books. I look at the world wholly differently. I look at the world with child's eyes. I look at the world with wonder because of reading those books. I've had experiences that I never told anyone about, and now I tell everyone because reading your books liberated me, freed me to tell my truth. Because if you could tell yours, I can tell mine. Wow. Almost a defiance. It's actually beautiful to see these people who were in a tight little bud and holding themselves in and not sharing of themselves and not even allowing themselves to think about the experiences that they've had in life, are now free to blossom, to open, to share, to allow the aroma to spill out into the air as a rosebud does as it opens to the sun. It is a process. And it's a difficult one. It's a painful one. And that's why so many people opt out of it. And they have a right to do that. They have a right to live in ignorance of themselves, of their own power, of their own promise. Millions and millions, dare I say, billions of people on this planet don't want to do this. This is hard.
And people can affect you without you realizing it. So if you're in a room with somebody, you might have been happy when you came into that room, and then the person that was in that room is negative and grouchy and whatever, and then that can affect you, which brings you down. And it's like, and then it keeps going, it can go on and on and on with the other person coming into the room. And that negativity can make a rippling effect.
Yes.
With everyone
like a pebble in the pond. Yes.
It ripples down.
Yeah, it does. And the truly well-grounded, spiritually centered person can be in a whole room of people like that and easily put themselves in the bubble, completely block it, totally protect themselves. People who really struggle with it are often very enlightened, but also very sensitive empaths, people who pick up on other people's vibration really easily, who absorb their energy like a sponge and then have to fight it off. People who do paranormal research, George, for instance, is a perfect example of this, how he protects himself and comes at it from a totally objective viewpoint, will not allow himself to be subjectified in the moment with what's going on, but is looking at it from a distance. And I've had to learn to do that because I've lived most of my life absorbing the energy of those around me like SpongeBob. Okay? I mean, like, boom. And I've had to, part of my own personal awakening has happened over the last 5-6 years, where I've had to realize that I am autonomous, that I cannot be imposed upon, that I've become what Bill Clinton once died. He's covered in kryptonite. Impervious to damage. It's like that. But it's spiritual boundary that has to establish. And I have to walk that thin line, because when I'm among my readers, when I'm in the public, and I'm embracing people and I'm sharing and exchanging energy with them and talking with them and listening to their stories, it's really hard for me not to take on their pain. You know, and George says to me, I don't know what it is. What is it with you that people walk up to you, walk into your arms, and start to sob?
Oh my God.
All the time. I mean, this hasn't happened once or twice. This happens dozens and dozens, hundreds of times. He's seen it. Where people just walk into my arms, I embrace them, I hold them against me, they tremble uncontrollably, and then they sob. And I think that what it is I think I make them feel safe. I think that I make them feel loved and appreciated for exactly who they are. I think I make them feel free. It liberates them to express and to release that pent-up pain that has been in them forever. And if that's one of my roles as I travel this planet, then I gladly, openly accept that, because it is so healing. It is so incredibly healing to just hold someone and let them cry until there are no tears left.
My God. Andrea, what would you say to the viewers then? How to stay up, to keep their vibrations up, to keep their frequency up? What would your advice be to everybody?
Well, you can't do it all the time. It would be superhuman to do it all the time. It's a process. It's a learning process. I'll give you a tool.
Okay.
That was given to me as a gift by one of my close, dear friends. Hold on, let me just have a sip of my Nectar of the Gods coffee. Nectar of the Gods. Oh my! Wow. I know how to make a pot of coffee. I was traveling with my dear friend Susie Fiore. I met her in 1976 when I went off to Chatham College in Pittsburgh. And, you know, we're just like connected at the hip. And I just love her to pieces. Well, we were heading up to visit my sister. She was down here for a week a couple of months ago to spend a week with me, which was great, and we made some serious mischief. But we were going up to see my sister Nancy. She lives about an hour away. And something had happened that just really irritated me. I won't even say who did it. But I was like, rawr! Like, out come the claws. I'm gonna rip his face off. Off comes the head. I'm gonna spit down his neck. I was like, rawr! And she's just letting me vent. She's like, you know, does that feel good? Does that feel really good? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it out. I'm really pissed. I'm getting it out. You know, and then I'm driving. I was driving my van, and she reaches over and she puts her hand on my arm, and she said, "Do you feel that?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you feel my hand?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "No, you don't. You feel your arm. You don't feel my hand. You feel your arm. I feel my hand. You feel your arm."
Oh, interesting.
So think in terms of that. We are each in our own being autonomous. We decide ultimately when to let our defenses down, when to drop the barriers, and when to put them up. And we decide how we are going to absorb information or deflect it. We decide in each living, breathing moment how we are going to react or not react to any given situation. We decide. And, you know, here's the thing. I know all of this stuff. I've been talking about this stuff since I was a teenager. When I was reading the metaphysicians, when I was reading the metaphysical writers, Emerson, Thoreau, Whitman, I learned all this stuff a long time ago. And I'm fast approaching 58, and I still have to catch myself. And I try to always catch myself before George catches me, because it's just not as much fun if he has to remind me that I'm going off the ledge and he's got to talk me off the precipice. It's just not it's not the same. And I can't help it. I'm a very emotional creature.
Yes, you are.
Everything, I take everything in, I process it, I absorb it, I think about it. It's like information in, information out. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly growing. I am actively involved with my own spiritual growth. And I'm at what some people consider a pinnacle of that. No, I'm not. I'm on the same path as everyone else is on. I might be at a little different level than somebody behind me. There's somebody ahead of me. This isn't a race. The journey is the destination.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think it would be great for people, and as soon as they wake up in the morning, to start thinking wonderful thoughts and how great their day is going to be? And even though they know they're going to go to work and it's going to be negative when they get to work, but try not to think about that, because when they get to work, they're going to make things work out. Wouldn't that be great if people could do that?
I know. Why anticipate a problem? Why don't you start, instead of anticipating a problem, start formulating a solution before you even get there? Stop off at a card shop and buy some balloons and walk in the door and release them and let them all drift up to the ceiling and say, Happy Monday!
Yeah, I love it. Exactly.
I missed you guys this weekend. Now, who's going to talk trash about their neighbors? And who's upset about the football game? And who didn't make this coffee strong enough? Bring it on. I am ready for you people.
I love it.
Don't tell me that would change the entire atmosphere of that office.
Oh my God, exactly. I get messages sometimes from people that are depressed and they're just down and out, and I've tried to talk. I cannot give any advice, because the only thing I can do is say, be happy, play some music, do a little bit of dance. If there's songs that you love, play the songs, sing with them. Start, like you said, raise your vibrations and be happy, because music can make you happy. And there are songs that we all love and have memories with those songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
If people would just do things like that.
Well, it's interesting because Paula Harris, she does the Star Work symposiums every year in Laughlin, Nevada, and this year, her whole entire symposium is about the ethereal nature of music, and how it elevates human consciousness, and that it is one of the most extraordinary, creative, and healing endeavors that we embark upon as human beings. And I quite agree. I'll be attending that and speaking at that event this year.
You did that last year, too. You were at Laughlin last year.
Fascinated by the fact that the way that I call extraterrestrials, vehicles to me, light beings to me, is to sing to them.
Oh, I know. Hey, are you kidding me? I've got that. I almost put that into the show tonight. Darn, I almost did that, and then I forgot about it, because everybody. Andrea sang on one of the shows, and I clipped that little clip out. And darn it, I was almost going to do that. That was fabulous. A Sentimental Journey.
Yes, I sing, but their favorite is I love you for sentimental reasons. Oh, darlings, please believe me. I've given you my heart.
So that's another one now they like.
They love that one. That's their favorite one.
No, wait a minute. You told me they like Sentimental Journey.
And they love that, but they like this one better.
Oh my! So, all right. Now, will you
So I
tell?
changed the words around a little bit for them, and they really like that.
What did you do to it?
I think of you every morning, dream of you every night. Darling, my heart is lonely when you're out of sight. I changed the words around a little bit, made it my own for them.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, all right. For those who haven't seen the show that we did when Andrea was talking about this song, tell everybody what you do.
Well, it depends on if I'm doing a group sighting with, I have like a whole bunch of women that we all get together every now and then, and I say, all right, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to see like what part of the sky is active, and they're all over the place. They're in Canada, California, Texas, New England, they're everywhere, but I have a really good view of the sky where I live, and so I'll go out and spend a few minutes and get very quiet and contemplative and start communicating with them. And I speak, I don't just do it telepathically, I speak aloud to them, which my neighbors don't really know what to make of. But still very nice to me. Either they're afraid of me because of that, or they just think that I'm special and should have my own bus. I mean, really.
Oh.
And, so I'll go out and I'll find out what's going on, and my sensory perceptions will tell me, the thing is, they're all around us all the time. I mean, this is not, it's people are always saying, well, let's go do a field trip and go find the extraterrestrials. You know what? Look up. You don't need to go anywhere to see them. They're all around us all the time. So, I go out and I kind of pick what section of the sky seems most active. And then I'll come back in and get on the computer and say, okay, girls, I want everybody to focus in the southeast tonight. And that's where I've told them to make their presence known for all of us in the southeast tonight. And I'll tell you what, I have gotten photographs back from these women. My friend Sparky out in Texas sent me a photograph of a full vessel that she did not see with the naked eye. She went outside. I told them, go outside, take your cameras, point them to the southeast, and start shooting. And when she came back in, she was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I didn't see it with my own eyes, but here it is in my camera. And then we share our photographs and stuff like that. I just got a great one tonight from one of my friends that lives like 15 minutes away from here. Woo! Great stuff.
Well, wait a minute. You told me you were going to share those photos when you got them.
Yes, I am. I'm compiling. Honey, I don't want to freak people out. I don't want to scare anybody. I'm compiling evidence. That's what I'm doing right now. And one of these days, when I feel that I've got plenty, the kind of stuff that's just going to shut the skeptics up. They won't be able to say anything because their mouths will be hanging open and their chins will be on the floor. When I've got that compiled between my friends and myself, then I'll do it. But, I forgot to tell you this. Oh, my God. This is fun. Last year, I was in the Upper Peninsula in August at the UP Paracon. And I had about, 35, 40 people, I guess, came outside with me to UFO search. And I walked out and I went out into this huge, vast area, the enormous parking lot at this casino, and started communicating with them and asking them to make their presence known with us, that, they were among friends, that there was nothing but positive energy around this process, and would they join us? And then I sang to them a few of their favorites, and then they started coming. And they started coming to the extent that there was no denying. These were not airplanes. These were not helicopters. These were nothing that we manufactured on this planet. Beautiful colors, the way that they were moving in the sky. There was no question. I mean, I recognized them instantly, and so did everyone else. And we had a bit of a gathering that lasted for quite a while, probably at least a half an hour, out in the middle of a parking lot in a casino in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, about a mile away from the Canadian border. And, and then they dispersed. And I said, okay, kids, let's go back in. Drinks are on me, which was a lie, because the drinks are only on me when we're on the mothership, and they're free anyway. The blue drinks on the mothership. And we went back in. And the next morning, there was an article in the newspaper about all these reports being called into the police station in Sault Ste. Marie about all this UFO activity the night before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and when I got back home, one of the women that was at the event with me sent me the newspaper article that was written about it. I'm like, my fault. Oh, God, it was great. We had a blast. The energy was so wonderful. That connection, that sense of real profound connection with them was so pervasive. It was almost palpable. It is, for me at least, no fear at all, none. And a feeling of love that transcends any sense of love that I've ever felt as a mortal soul. It's a different kind of love. It's a higher love. And I'll tell you what, when you said a little bit earlier, wouldn't it be great if everybody woke up with a smile on their face?
Yeah.
And, well, I do. And they're the reason that I do. Because I don't think they're here to save us, but I think acknowledging them and interacting with them and being raised by them in terms of the expansion of human consciousness, in terms of that vibration of pure love and light, is what will ultimately save the human race. Because it seems that not only are we hell-bent on the destruction of our planet, the destruction of every sentient being on it, the destruction of each other, but we are, every time that we do harm here, that resonates out into the universe. The reason that they came in droves the way that they did in 1947 was because we were blowing off atomic bombs on this planet. And as Paul Hellyer, the former defense minister of Canada, said so profoundly, they looked down on us from every corner of the universe and said, oh no, the children are playing with matches.
Oh. Andrea, do they come off the craft and meet with you in person?
No, not that I know consciously. I have not had that experience consciously. It doesn't mean that I haven't had it. There are a lot of people in the ufology community that say if you wake up and you hear your name being spoken, that you're being actually pulled back from an out-of-body experience, from an astral projective experience, that you're actually elsewhere, and that's what brings you back.
No kidding. I never heard that.
Body.
Well, do you think that you
lost time?
You lost time.
Lost time. I cannot account for.
Do you think that they are bringing you up into the craft?
Oh, I don't know. I sure would, but I'll tell you what I would appreciate. I would appreciate being conscious for something like that. I want to be able to say, I remember doing that. I don't want it to just be relegated to dreams. I don't want it to just be relegated to some kind of subconscious state. I want conscious contact. Let me say that loud and clear on Skype, because I know they're listening. I want conscious contact. I would love to be the one to introduce them to the world. I would love to be the one. And I don't care out there who says, oh, she's delusional. That's what's off her rocker. I don't care. I really don't care, because, I've had experiences in my life that I'm so grateful for. I've had experiences in transcendent, seeing a full body apparition at the age of 12 years old, to the extent that I thought it was just another human being that was dressed funny. Honestly, I have seen things in my life that I wish that everyone could see, because if everyone could, then I think this would be a very, very different world, and I think we'd be profoundly more spiritual as the human race. I think that.
But Andrea, don't you think, because there are spirits that show themselves, but don't you think that the individual person has to be in tune to it? If somebody does not believe in ghosts, they don't believe in the paranormal, they don't believe any of that stuff exists, and yet, don't you think that they have to be in tune in order to see that ghost?
Nope.
You don't?
No, I sure don't. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
I have to take magical Motrin.
You?
I have a headache that I gotta beat off, and it's only because I'm thinking. I get spontaneous headaches. It's part of the ascension. It's part of spiritual ascension. Anybody that's involved in aggressively expanding their own consciousness will have sudden, inexplicable headaches. Will have, there's like a whole list of symptoms that come with it, and I'm having one of them.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It'll be gone in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's just, I have to, and I'm going to suck it down with nectar of the gods.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I still don't, we disagree on this. Because I truly believe, because my husband has had paranormal experiences and he will not acknowledge it. He will not acknowledge it. He doesn't work, but he's in charge of security on one of the most haunted aircraft carriers on the USS Hornet. Now, come on. I know he's had experiences, but he'll never say anything. He'll never say anything about it.
And why is that? It's
because he doesn't believe in it. No, he doesn't believe in it. And yet,
So he's going to deny his own sensory perceptions?
He just... Andrea, he couldn't find his wallet one day. He looked all over for his wallet. And a couple of days later, he found it in his pants pocket where he had already looked. And it was back there. And things happen to him, but he will not acknowledge that it's paranormal. And that just drives me up a wall. How could you not acknowledge it?
He can say that it's because he doesn't believe. My father said that for years when we lived at the farm. I don't believe in ghosts. I was raised Catholic, and we don't believe in ghosts. There's the Holy Ghost. That's it. And he admitted decades later that it was because he was afraid, that he had this sense of loss of control. Control is an illusion. We think that we live in a three-dimensional, five-sensory realm, that our reality is relegated to that. We actually live in a multi-dimensional, multi-sensory universe. And, your husband is at the core of his reaction to this is fear.
You think that's what it is?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, he was a cop, He didn't fear doing
Right.
that.
And all the more reason for him to be the big tough guy, all very pragmatic, very sensible, very straightforward. I don't see it unless I don't believe it unless I see it. That type of thing. I get that. I totally get that. And most men are hardwired that way.
Oh.
Most men are.
I think so.
People like John Zaffis and George Lopez, the men that I work with in the paranormal field, are very open to their sensory perceptions, what they're picking up, what they're feeling, what they're
Okay, there you
hearing,
go.
what
But
they're-
okay, wait a minute. There you go. They both believe in the paranormal.
Yeah. But the reason that they both believe in the paranormal is because they've been bombarded with it. They've seen over and over and over over and over again, and yet your husband is being given different examples of it, and someone's trying to communicate with him, obviously, and he doesn't want to hear it. But if you really were to get down to the core of it, and you might not be able to with him because his persona and his mind, his thinking process is hardwired to be the big, tough, police officer guy that doesn't buy into any of that crap.
Yeah.
And you might never get to the root of it. And I can understand why that's a frustration for you. But let him have his own experiences. His disbelief does not in any way impact or null and void your belief at all.
Oh, no.
It's nothing to do with you.
Oh, no. No. I also, Andrea, I've seen ghosts. I talked to one. I hear conversations. I'll wake up and it only happens in the morning. When I'm waking up, I'll hear a conversation going on, and I'll think, well, maybe it's the answering machine downstairs, but the phone didn't ring.
Yeah.
So where is this conversation coming from? And I've heard many conversations, but I can't make out what they're saying.
It's in the ether. It's the energy all around you. They're comfortable to express themselves before you. They're allowing you to, they're making their presence known and allowing you to interpret and to assimilate their presence into your consciousness. It is all thought. It's all, there is, we talk about, George and I talk about the collective consciousness, the cosmic consciousness, the mind of the universe. And each one of us taps into that. And some of us explore it more fully. Some of us are more in tune with it, develop at a more rapid rate, have spent more time internalizing our feelings, spent more time still and quiet listening to our inner voice. It's all a process. It doesn't have to be woo-woo. It doesn't have to be, hours of meditation a day. It doesn't have to be any of that. When I consider meditation quiet, private thought. It's not just it's not going someplace else in mind. It's coming in to ourselves and listening to what we already know, to the ancient truths that are embedded in our own DNA, the residual energy that we brought from the spirit realm with us into the corporeal realm. And when we return to the spirit realm, we will take it with us. And we call that soul.
Oh gosh, when I was looking up information on tonight's show, I came across a sentence, and this one person said that we do not have a soul. And I thought, geez, how can they say that? How can they say we don't have a soul? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry, I was just making contact for a second. Sorry, I forgot we're on video.
Oh!
Even atheism is a belief system. It's a belief that there is no God.
Yeah.
Belief is the jet fuel for the human mind. I have a very good friend of mine, very close friend. I've known her since I was 19 years old. We met at college when I was at Chatham. She's a devout atheist. She doesn't want to believe any of what I have told her. And I said, well, you realize that my story, my life is in contraposition to your belief system. So in other words, if you can't believe me, then you think I'm lying. And she's like, no, I don't think you're lying. I said, no, yes, you do. You must. If you're not even willing to consider that there's stuff going on in this universe that you don't know about. And just hardwired, hard line. You live, you die, that's it, it's over. Totally nothing else, hardline as she can possibly be on this. And then last year, I went to visit her. She lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then I swiped her CRV, which I love, by the way. It's a great car, and drove up to the Upper Peninsula. And while I was there, for the couple of days that I was there, we went on a couple of hikes. We, did this and that, and she saw things in the sky that she'd never seen before.
Really?
And they were just around me, and it was her chance. It was her turn. And then it sounded like there was a jet plane landing on top of our heads.
Really?
Just like that.
Now, when they come over and they hover on top of you, are you getting your communication then? Do you think?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And how long do they hover above you?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I see them. Sometimes my father. Oh, God,
did he see one?
Oh my God. He came. He screamed like a little girl. It was so funny.
Really?
He was laying on the futon in his office, and it's in the Florida room. It's just nothing but windows. Nothing but windows.
Oh, awesome.
And we're most receptive when we're coming from our subconscious mind into conscious, when we're in that alpha state as we're waking up or we're going to sleep, is really when we're most receptive to, when we kind of intermingle with the netherworld or with other dimensions. And he said all of a sudden he felt like a jolt, and he woke up very suddenly, like a jolt, like a spark had gone off in his head. He said, right here. I said, where, the third eye? He said, well, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And I said, yeah, right here. And he opened his eyes, and there was a long tubular vessel just floating across the back of the house. He said it was no more than 2,500 feet off the ground.
So
it was just floating, and he said it moved so slowly that he knew, and it had no wings. It was just a tube. It was like a long tube, and I've seen them countless times.
Wow.
And he said, Annie, he said, I'm telling you, I was not dreaming. I'm like, Dad, I believe you. Relax, I believe you. He's like, no, I am telling you, I was not dreaming. I was wide awake, and there it was. And he said it was moving so slowly that if it had been something that we'd manufactured, it would have just tumbled out of the sky. It was just crawling across our backyard. He's like, why didn't anybody else see it? There were other people home. Why didn't anybody see it? Why aren't there police cars here? Why, and he was frantic. And I said, Dad, honey, because you were supposed to see it. Nobody else saw it. You saw it. You were meant to see it. Nobody else.
Oh,
no.
Wow. So that's
they have
awesome.
Ways of cloaking and ways of, I've seen, oh my God, Norene, some of the things I've seen. If I ever wrote a book about some of the things
Why
I've
don't
seen,
you? Why don't you? And put your pictures in the book. That's what you should be doing. That should be your next book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm really busy though. I'm trying to write the freaking screenplays for my movies. So that's coming along really well. And once I get my movies made, the trilogy House of Darkness, House of Light is destined for the silver screen. I've already got a producer, director, I got it going here.
Is that volume 1?
Yes, we're going to start with the first volume. Well, it's not going to be quite the same. It's not going to follow quite the same way. I'm rearranging a little bit.
Wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Why are you doing that? Because your story is so darn awesome.
Well, it is, but you also know that in the reading, from the moment that we get to the farm to the moment that we leave the farm in volume 3, it's kind of like all bets are off. One story could be about Cindy at age 8. The next one could be Cindy at 14, and because of the type of hauntings that it was.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to put it, because most human beings are linear thinkers, I'm trying to put it in a more chronological way.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas a reader who is able to suspend that notion, that false notion of time, to have that sense of timelessness that we had living there with the way that it was told, that's that's not going to lend itself well to film. So I'm having to try to, and I'm working with my family on this too, you know, like, Cindy, do you remember?
Uh-oh. Okay, guys, hold on. Andrea, she lost her internet. It'll come right back. She'll get it right back. This happened early. Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. She'll be right back. Hold on. She's coming back in. It's reconnecting. She just lost her connection. Oh,
Gotcha.
there. Okay, put video on.
Oh, is my video off?
Yeah.
No, it's telling me my video's on.
Oh, no. It's not. Because remember, this did this 2 times earlier. Do you want to hang up and then I call you back? Unless you get your video back on. Lost it again. That's all right. She had internet. They must be having storms or something. Okay, hold on, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, put video on now. Can you do it? Oh, man. Oh, I wonder, do you have a storm going on over there?
No, I stirred some stuff up in the ether. I think. No, we got nothing going on here tonight. I've had no service interruption at all.
And it keeps saying that you're reconnecting.
Yeah, well, I'm connected with you now, but let's see if I can connect video.
There you are.
There I am.
Okay, now it's all pixelated, so I don't know what happened.
Oh, you know, I blame the spooks. I blame the ETs. I blame myself.
Oh, because you did that?
Well, you know, sometimes I have these bursts of weird energy, like about what I was talking about the movie, and I got very excited.
Yeah.
And I sometimes short stuff out and drain batteries. I can't wear a watch, except for, you know, pretty jewelry, not to tell time, because I kill the battery. I have this kind of negative magnetic weird charge about me that causes issues sometimes.
Oh, God.
Or I blame the spooks. I blame them for almost everything because I can.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't look bad on, I'm looking at you on the computer, but it seems to look okay on YouTube. Hey, I want you to, okay, remember earlier I asked you about the consciousness, because consciousness is energy and it doesn't die. So, and then you said that something about, that's why there are ghosts. Can you talk about that? Because that was very interesting what you had said.
Well, if it were true that when we die, that we simply cease to be, that there's no carrying on of any level of human consciousness or spiritual consciousness, if there were no soul, if there were no energy, residual energy left, then there would be no such thing as spirits. Ghosts and spirits have been written about as long as human beings have been etching things in stone. You know, this isn't something that we all came up with out of pop culture 20 or 30 years ago. You know, ask anybody in England that lives in a 600-year-old house who they're sharing their dwelling with. Mm-hmm. You know, it's ghosts and spirits, and I don't know, I guess I use those words interchangeably, although I prefer spirit, because ghost has almost a negative connotation to it, whereas spirit is light and love.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, you know the movie The Others? How?
No, I saw it. I've never seen any scary movie except The Conjuring.
Oh, Andrea, you've got to see that movie The Others with Nicole Kidman. You're kidding me.
I've heard a lot about it. Yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
Oh, yes. the whole movie, you think they were human. But
Right.
they weren't. They were ghosts
They were the
living,
ghosts.
yes, living like humans. So I was going to ask you, no, I wish you had, darn it. I was going to ask you, is it like the others? Are we coexisting with the spirits? Are they like,
Well,
okay, suppose you buy a haunted house and the lady of the house is still in the house. She won't leave. She loved her kitchen. She used to love to cook. So she's still cooking and you're sharing the kitchen with her. So I wonder if that ghost considers the human a ghost and you're just living with one another.
well, think about this. Think about portals and vortexes
Yeah.
where there is an intermingling of um, there is science. In terms of the science of it, this obviously has not been proved, but there is scientific theory that suggests that because we live in a multi-dimensional universe,
Yes.
dimensions can exist simultaneously.
Yes.
Case in point, the time that my mother, this was what turned her around and brought her back to us when she was so depressed and so sickly and just oppressed with the spirit that wanted her out of the house. And what turned her around was that pragmatic Virgo mind of hers that said, oh my God, now this makes sense. Now this makes sense. Because she came out of her bedroom, sent me into the kitchen to go make some dinner for her at 11 o'clock at night. And I walked through our closed down, dark dining room. She went in the parlor on the hearthstone to throw a log into the fireplace, and she heard laughter behind her. And she turned around and looked into our dining room that was now completely lighted with candles and oil lamps in the fireplace that had been sealed well more than 100 years. There was a woman standing there cooking over a roaring fire.
Get
Children running
out.
around the room, and two men sitting on the opposite side of the table with big pewter steins of beer in front of them, indicative of the 1700s, on furniture that was not our own. And one of them looked into the parlor and saw my mother and nudged the man beside him and pointed her out to that gentleman. And my mother, they were perceiving my mother to be the ghost. They were looking into the future while she was looking into the past.
There you go. Absolutely. Oh my God, that's crazy. I love it. I love it. Okay, so.
That was her moment of epiphany. That's when she started coming back to us. That's when she started gaining her strength. And she said, everything is science that we don't understand yet.
Oh my God, that is
This
so.
is physics.
What an experience. Your mother, do you know how many people would die to have had that experience? Oh my God.
When I walked back into the dining room that was again completely dark,
Yeah.
they were gone just as fast as they came. She had that vision, and I walked back into that dining room holding a bowl of beef stew and a cup of coffee for her, and she was grinning from ear to ear. I had not seen my mother smile in I don't know how long at that time, and she glowed.
Wow.
She glowed because it finally made sense to her. She was touched by spirit. She made eye-to-eye contact with the man who perceived her to be the ghost.
Now, so how long did she stand there? Or when she was standing there and she saw this, did they just disappear or did she walk away? They just disappeared. She was just that lucky to see them. Why do you think she saw them?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was just a gift from God. I do. Just a gift from God. You know, I don't know what kind of energy. I mean, Norene, there are things that go on at that farm that are absolutely inexplicable. Case in point of that would be, I know two adults, elderly adults. One who is almost deaf and one who is almost blind. And when they visit the farm, their sensory perceptions are completely restored, and when they leave the farm, the impairments return.
Why?
What's that?
What is that?
What is that?
Yeah, what is it?
It's almost like, I don't know, for me, the farm is heaven. It's heaven right on this earth.
Oh.
And it's hell right on this earth. But it is an intermingling, it's a portal, it's a vortex, it's a portal cleverly disguised as a farmhouse.
Oh my God. Do the same people still own it?
Yes, they do. And I'm not allowed there anymore.
Yeah, I know. I know
Yeah.
about that situation.
But that's her issue, that's her problem. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm all done with it. I really am. She has discredited herself in every conceivable way. I couldn't possibly say anything to discredit her further that she hasn't done herself.
Oh,
so, I just dismiss it. That's just the dark cloud that I just say, get away, because, it's the silver lining is what I focus my energy and attention on. She's got her own issues, and I just do nothing but, pray for her that she gets beyond it and finds some happiness, because, I'm not going to let her negative energy impact my life in any conceivable way. She can live with that herself.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Oh God. Did your mom ever see those ghosts again? Was that the only vision she had while she was at the farm?
That was the only vision of them, of that particular family, or that part of the family that had lived in the house before. Cindy saw them twice.
Jeez.
Cindy saw them. One time we were going out to chop wood, and she came outside just dressed in her farmer jeans and a short shirt, and it was fall, and Mom's like, go back inside and go get a sweater. It's going to be windy and cold. She's like, well, but I'll be sweating. And she's like, go get a sweater. And so Cindy went running back into the house, ran upstairs to her bedroom, got herself a sweater, came running back downstairs, and as she's running through the parlor, had come down my stairs from my bedroom, and she just turned and she looked, and they were all just sitting there having a meal, and she's just like, and she stopped in the parlor, and she stared at them for a couple of moments, and nobody seemed to notice her. And then she went bolting out the door, and she's like, Mom, there's a whole family having dinner in our dining room, and it's not our furniture, it's their furniture. I guess it's their furniture, and they're all eating. And Mom looked at her and she said, well, how about we go cut some wood and we let them enjoy a nice private meal?
Oh wow, that was awesome. Hey, you know what? One of the viewers had asked a while back. I know we had discussed this on one of the shows. It might have been the last one. I can't remember. It's been 7 times. I can't remember which one it was. And I remember we talked about this, about the haunting continuing even though you've moved out of the farmhouse. And the viewers want to know, how's the family doing?
Well, I thank you, whoever asked that. Thank you very much. Everybody's doing well. My mother is a little underweight. I'm going to go up and see her again in Georgia. I'm in Florida now. I'm going to go spend a week or so with her and fatten her up again. Oh, God, it's like she won't eat unless I'm cooking for her. So we have to, and I'm working on getting Christine to sell the house up there and move down to Florida so that we can be together again. The reason that I moved out of that house was so I could take all my junk with me, and so Christine could stage and sell the house. And I've been gone a year now, and it's still not on the market. Don't even get me going about that, but I need my mom to be down here where I can care for her, and I don't have to drive 7 hours to make tuna noodle casserole for her. So I'm working on that. I'm working on. But right now I'm down in Winter Garden, and my father's got this huge house, and I've got a whole section of it that's just mine, and it's great. I love you can see my office, and I got I'll show you my office, and all my books, and all my owls, and all my stuff.
Look at that.
And I got great stuff. Lots and lots and lots of books, and they're not, and a lot of them are still in boxes. These are just my favorite books. but yeah, I mean, the house when I was living with Mom and Christine up in Villa Rica, I mean, if you walked in our house, which was just a pretty good-sized farmhouse from the 1940s on a couple of acres of land, very pretty, really nice place. But it looked like a combination library and antique shop had exploded inside it. Between my mother, Christine, and myself, we had 3 households worth of stuff crammed into one, not a square inch unused. And it was just too much, and she could not. You know, I needed to come down to Florida anyway. George is here, and I work constantly with him. Both of my producers and cinematographers are here, and there's so much more opportunity for me in Florida, and so many paranormal people, and so much stuff going on down here. St. Augustine's just up the road.
God!
I really needed to be in Florida, but now the next logical step is Christine sell the farm and move down here with Mom so that I can have her right close by and either live with her and take care of her, or it's my parents. It's it's like one's got one arm, one's got the other, and they're both tugging simultaneously. I do sometimes get spread a little bit too thin, but it's my privilege and my pleasure to take care of my parents and love them well and honor them. But especially my mother for what my mother has been through in this life.
Yes.
I just worship her.
Oh.
She's the strongest, most resilient, most resourceful, most intelligent, most creative, most beautiful human being I have ever had the privilege and pleasure to know. And she's mine.
Oh.
She's my mom. She
Oh.
carried me in her body. I just, I fall at her feet. There's nothing I wouldn't do for her. Nothing.
Oh, God, Andrea, that's beautiful. Now, what about hauntings? Are you guys, is anybody affected by any hauntings right now?
Well, yeah.
Okay, come on.
Well, yeah, I kind of live in a haunted house that my father said wasn't haunted till I got here. And and then of course I lived with Christine, who said my house wasn't haunted until you moved into it. My sister Nancy, who lives up the road, who complained on film when Les Anderson was doing one of his interviews for our documentary that we're working on. And she says, yeah, every time she comes to visit me, she leaves something behind, and it takes me 2 weeks to clear it. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't help that. I really can't help it. I am surrounded by spirit all of the time, and there's an old man that still, if not resides here, certainly visits this house frequently, and he died in this house about 40 years ago. And he's benign. He doesn't. I mean, he causes a little bit of problem in terms that he makes a lot of noise. There was one night. It was about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting here at the computer, and I was, pounding away on it, on the screenplay, because it's usually nice and quiet in the house, and, there's no phones ringing, there's nothing. And honest to God, it sounded like somebody was breaking into this house with a battering ram.
Oh.
It was so loud, I leapt up out of this chair and rushed out, and as I rushed into the center of the house, every light switch, I hit every light switch, I turned every light on in the house, I grabbed the high-powered flashlight, I went outside, I went completely around the property, there was nothing, no one here, and I could not believe that it did not raise my father right out of bed. It was so loud, I had to cover my ears.
Oh my, isn't that
so loud.
Isn't that amazing that they can do that?
Yeah, and it really did sound like somebody was like coming in through a wall. I mean, it was that loud. I looked everywhere, and there was nothing going on. George was here one day, and we were talking, all of a sudden we have a big, beautiful stainless steel refrigerator, side-by-side refrigerator, and it's got a completely flat top. And it's got a whole bunch of decorative copper, like pots and pans, kettles, and, real pretty copper decorative cookware up there on display. Oh. And, George and I are just standing in the kitchen having a cup of coffee, just chatting it up, and all of a sudden, all of it just went pshoo, right off the top of the refrigerator, and it all hit the floor.
Oh.
And across the floor. This beautiful, thin copper, just all shiny, beautiful. It should have been destroyed. It should have been, if not broken, at least severely dented, falling on top of tile.
Oh.
Big, thick tile that you see in all the Florida homes, all routed and everything. It's like, it should have been destroyed. The tile should have been scarred or even shattered. Nothing. No damage at all. Nothing.
Wow, Andrea.
And I just looked at George, and George looked at me, and I was like, yeah, whatever. He just helped me pick everything up and put it back up on top of the refrigerator. And
hey, Mike Ricksecker's in the chat room. I know, I do too. Haunted Roads Media is Mike Ricksecker. Anyway, he's got a question for you, Andrea. He says, what I'm curious about with Andrea's experiences in the house is the bubble where something would happen to someone that seemingly lasted long, but was no time to everyone else. Multi-dimensions.
Yes, that's exactly right. And Cindy's the one that came up with that phrase when we were kids. And she would say, something came up to me and put me in the bubble. And I was yelling for you guys. I was yelling, and you couldn't hear me because I was in the bubble. And she was just a little kid. And she said it was like a force field around her, like a pressurized containment unit. And she and whatever spirit she was interacting with would be together in it. And then it was completely enclosed. And so whatever was going on between the two of them in that, that lack of time and space was not discernible on the outside of it. And she said that was the hardest thing, was when she was trying to break away, when she was afraid. And it was almost like she had to punch her way through it, as though, like a bullet going through glass. She had to punch her way out of it to break that and release herself from it, to get away from it. And it was many times, Nancy and Cindy, Christine, April, everybody had the experience of being almost immobilized inside it. Like, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't move. All you could do was take in what you were being told, and it usually came in here or here, where you could hear a voice. It happened with Cindy when the apparition came to her with her head hanging off to the side, the one that had threatened my mother repeatedly, that had clearly had a broken neck. And she came to her in her bedroom, and Cindy was down on the floor playing, and the door opened, and she thought it was just somebody coming to get her for dinner, because it was, twilight time, right around that time where the light shifts. And so it would be dinner time, and she figured somebody had bounced up the stairs to come get her for dinner. And the door opened, and this apparition came through that appeared to her full body opaque. She couldn't see through her, because she just looked like a solid form. And she floated across the floor. She had no feet, and her arms were extended. And she said, with her head hanging off, she said, "Come to me, little girl. Come with me."
Oh my God. You never told me that before.
Yeah, Cindy went flying down the stairs, sobbing, fell all the way down the stairs trying to get away from her, went flying into the kitchen, body slammed my mother, screaming, "You're my mother. I don't want to go with her. You're my mommy. I love you. I don't want to go with her." And everybody was looking at her like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And there were so many incidents in that house where there were, huge, disruptive, awful things going on that nobody else in the house heard at all.
Boy.
And I wish, Michael be able to explain it even better than I can, but I really do think that it's because what's happening, you go from being in your three-dimensional, five-sensory human realm to in a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional realm that exists simultaneously. And when George and I do a World Awakening, one of the questions that we've asked, we've had a few people come on who have proclaimed themselves to be psychic.
Yeah.
And one of them who, I have a great deal of respect for, she's absolutely lovely, and she's, pretty spot on accurate from what I understand. I've never asked a psychic. I don't want to know what the future holds for me. This is just so exciting day to day. Please don't tell me what's going to happen. But, because then that takes the mystery away, But I said to her during one of our shows, I said, wrap your mind around this, honey. If psychics exist, and if psychics can perceive or read the future for someone else, does that not necessarily indicate that the future has already happened in some other realm, and that's what you're perceiving?
Really? I never heard that before.
Yeah, she was kind of blown away by that question too. Doesn't it necessarily indicate that the future has already happened? Right. If people can be psychic and see the future.
Exactly. Damn, Andrea. Wow. Never thought about that. I don't think that's ever been talked about.
Well, something, remember just before we got on this show, my darling, and I said to you that by the time we're done with these 2 hours, you won't think the same way anymore, that your consciousness will have expanded, that your vibration will have raised, and that you will feel very different. Don't you already feel different?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to ask you another question. Now, your mom saw a family from way back having dinner, and the lady was cooking, okay? Now, she saw actual spirits, ghost spirits, whatever. Then there's also this other thing where they believe, oh, cat, get out of here. Oh, hold on, she did something to my computer. And where spirits are balls of light, they're energy.
Yes.
So does spirit come in different forms, or do we change our form where we would look like a real person rather than a ball of light? Or how does that work, Andrea?
Well, I don't know, and I don't know necessarily that the balls of light or energy orbs or whatever. I mean, people call them all kinds of different things. I'm not necessarily sure that those are spirits. I think that it's just as likely. I think that there is some point of correlation and integration between extraterrestrial beings and ghosts. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it is just pure ethereal consciousness interacting with a corporeal world. If we are having, not that our reality has changed, but that we're having a new awareness of our old reality. That this is something that has always existed, but that because we are raising our consciousness, we are able to see in a more profound, multi-dimensional, interdimensional way why some of us can see and some of us can't. This is something that I've talked to you about on the show before, I believe. I think I told you one time when I lectured at the Starworks Symposium, and I asked a room full of people, how many in this room have blue or green eyes? And all the hands went up. How many in this room are the firstborn in their family? And all the hands went up. How many have the Rh negative blood factor? And 3/4 of the hands went up. And I was like, you think there's some coincidence, or maybe that we're all together here by accident? How about no? No, there are those those of us on this planet, I used to think that everybody could perceive exactly the same thing all the time, every way. That if one person could be psychic, then everyone had the ability. If one person could be a medium, everyone had the ability. If one person could see ghosts and spirits, then everyone would be able to see ghosts and spirits. And I'm not so convinced about that anymore. I've rather evolved on that subject. I think that there are some of those, some of us on this planet, and we're in the millions, that perhaps have a different proclivity or a different sensitivity to multidimensional beings, because possibly our DNA has been manipulated over time. I think that there are hybrids on this
yes,
planet.
yes, you're absolutely, I believe you, yes.
I think that I'm
Yes.
one of them.
Oh, well, Andrea, I think we talked about this before, and it all started back on the farm, where you did see spacecrafts, and you probably were abducted and didn't realize it, because you, out of all your sisters, are so different from your sisters, and we had talked about this before. Your intelligence, your vocabulary, your verbiage, everything that you do is so above normal.
Are you calling me abnormal? Just feel free to call me abnormal.
You're so damn intelligent. I mean, I've never. I mean, you're really intelligent, and so okay, come on now. So I know that from what I've heard, that people that have been abducted or in contact with aliens, that they usually end up getting gifts. They have gifts, whether they become a psychic or they end up with gifts. And well, I'm not saying that the aliens, maybe they did do that for you. I don't know, because
I don't either.
you're different from your. Now, how could you be so different from? How could you have that intelligence? Have you ever had your intelligence measured?
Yes.
Well, you're a genius, aren't you? You're a genius. Yes, you are. You're a genius. I knew it. So, and yet the other sisters aren't. So, doesn't that?
Well, they're no slouches intellectually, but no, they're very different than I am. I mean, they all have. My mother raised us. My mother educated us better than any school ever could. I mean, we were readers from young age. We all spoke. My mother is a master of the English language. Speaks so fluently, so lyrically, with such beauty in her language, and that's how we all grew up. And all of my sisters are well spoken. All of my sisters are very bright. But I've always been different. My mother told me from a very young age that way before we ever moved to the farm, that there was something very special about me, and that I should always take very good care of myself, that I was going to have a great and spectacular life, and that my life was going to touch many other people. Yeah. She told me when I was 12 years old that someday I would write about us living at that farmhouse, and we had just gotten there. Within months, I was, asking her for journals. I was writing down everything that I was seeing, everything that my sisters were experiencing. I was like the one that chronicled the events. I never had a negative altercation with spirit in that house, not once, not a single time that we lived there. My fear was about what was happening to my mother. My fear was about what was happening to my sisters and how they were reacting, how they were responding to it. There were moments that I feared for them and for their safety, and certainly feared that my mother was slipping away from us, and that I was becoming the surrogate parent out of sheer necessity. It was a very intense and sometimes very disturbing environment to grow up in. And yet, I look back on it as the single most enlightening decade of my life. And even my mother does, too. I mean, I once asked her, I said, if you could go back and change it, would you? And she said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I mean, my mother was physically attacked in that house repeatedly. She once said, in fact, in the recent video that we just released, bless her sweetheart, she said, once I realized that we had spirits in the house, I didn't think that they were capable of hurting us. But I was wrong about that. There was real danger in that house. And there was. I used to be very uncomfortable with the notion that people described me and my family as survivors of such an extreme haunting.
Mm-hmm,
But that's actually an appropriate thing to say, because there were life-threatening situations that happened in that house, and it could have gone either way. The night of the seance, when my mother was tossed in a split second, 20 feet from the middle of the dining room into the middle of the parlor, when everyone in that house heard her skull hit the floor, I think everyone was quite sure she was dead. And whatever threw her that way, like a rag doll, whatever it was that had attacked her the way that it did, had all the power that it could possibly have needed to claim her life. It didn't choose to kill her. It chose to make its presence known to the priest and the medium and the warrants and all the other people that were present in that house that night, including 4 of her 5 children. That was a warning. And it is because I have seen the dark side of existence, looked evil straight in the face, that I deliberately choose to live in the light.
How long after that happened did you guys leave the farm?
That happened in 1973. No, pardon me. That happened in August of 1974. And we left the farm in June of 1980.
Wow, 6 years later?
Yeah.
Did she have any other attacks like that after that?
That was the last one. That was the last physical attack on her.
Wow. There's one question here from B Singer. Why is it we don't see ghosts from the future, or do we?
I think that we do. I think that we can. I think that the incident where the spirits in our house saw my mother is an example of the possibility that spirits from the past can see into the future, because my mother was in their future.
Oh.
She was from the 1970s. They were from the 1700s.
Wow.
Simultaneously in one place.
Wow, you guys really had some experiences at that farm. I'm really sorry that the movie wasn't from the day one made from your story, from your book.
Oh, I'm not, because
Really?
now I have the opportunity. There's not a single scene in The Conjuring that's from
No.
any of my 3 books.
Nope.
Not a single scene.
No.
Now I have the opportunity to tell the whole true story, because I own the copyright. I have the ability that I gave them permission to tell elements of our story, and in some ways they did capture little elements, what I call the cosmic kisses of The Conjuring, little oddities that show up. For instance, hold on, hey, this is like show and tell.
Okay, okay.
Does anybody remember this?
Oh, that's folk, yeah.
Okay, remember when the camera comes around and it shoots into Shanley Caswell's bedroom?
Yeah.
That plagued me.
That's
This
it.
picture is up on the mantle of the fireplace in her bedroom. This was given to me by my mother's friend, Fran Cedarback, when I turned 13 years old. She paid 50 cents for it. It's probably paint by number. But I fell in love with it at a flea market in Foster, Rhode Island, and my mom didn't have 50 cents to buy this for me for my 13th birthday, but Fran bought it for me. And I've had it with me ever since. It's hanging right here in my office with me. Nobody working on The Conjuring, the set designer, the producers, the director, nobody knew that this picture was a part of my life, and it appeared on the mantle board in the bedroom of the girl that played me in the movie.
Okay, I've
Now,
got.
what do you call that?
Oh
Because
my.
it's not coincidence.
No, I've got this. I've got the DVD. I'm gonna play it and look for that. Wow, Andrea, I really. Oh my God, I'm hoping so hard that your story comes to the big screen. I want to see your story.
You will. You will.
Really, really, really.
I promise you. I promise you. I'm busting it. I'm making sure that the screenplay is impeccable. It's immaculate. It will go right from page to screen. I'm working with a director who I have the utmost confidence in, who has my own vision, who has a real sensitivity to the story, who knows my family, who was dropped like manna from heaven into my lap, has directed one of my favorite movies. I can't even tell you his name right now, but I will tell you that this is happening. This is happening, and it's all happening right now. I'm feeding him, pages and whole sections of the screenplay that's going to off to him and his wife, who really does all the reading for him, and then just lays in bed and reads it to him at night because he's exhausted, he's over the moon with it. So is she. I will be working very closely with them. I thought that we could probably tell the whole story in 2 films, but I'm getting a little bit of argument from Hollywood. They want it to be, and that's where they live, out in Hollywood, and they want it to be 3 movies. They want it to as closely mimic
3 movies
as possible. Yeah, they want 1 movie for each book.
Wow, no kidding. Well, that's awesome for you.
Yeah, it is. I could see it actually done as a mini series. Like a 8 or 10 part series, an hour apiece on HBO. And I mean, I don't know. It might go that route, but I don't think so. I think that this is destined for feature film, and that's what he wants. And so we're working on it. We're working on it right now. We're putting all the pieces together. It's a very elaborate puzzle, but it feels great. It feels like this film will not be controlled by a major motion picture studio. This film is going to be an indie films. I will have complete, total control over the screenplay and the final edit.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's got to be that way, or I don't want to do it, because I'm not going to have another piece of fiction go out into the world about my family when the real story is quite phenomenal enough. Thank you.
I totally agree. Now, are you going to make a documentary as well out
Yes,
of your
it's going
story?
to go out. That will air at one of the major film festivals probably in the next year or so, and then it will go out in the form of a DVD with the box set of the movies when they go out, when they leave the theaters and go out as DVDs.
Oh man, I can't wait. I want to see that one as well. I mean, your story is just amazing. I absolutely love your story. Andrea, it's been 2 hours.
Oh my God. It flew by like a witch on a stolen broomstick.
Oh my God. Well, hey, anytime you want to come back and talk about another subject, you're always welcome. The show was awesome. I just love having you on the show. Always. It's always a pleasure to have you, Andrea. Anytime. This will go in, I don't know, this is number 7 or number 8. It'll go in with your playlist. And oh my God, I just love you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. It's so much fun to have you on. I don't share your intelligence, but I love to listen to you speak, so.
Oh, you are a marvel. You are a wonder to behold, my friend. Don't ever undercut yourself. You have great gifts, and the service that you render to this community and beyond is truly beyond compare. So please don't ever present yourself. You are a bright light in the firmament, my dear Norene.
Oh God, I love you. I love you. Okay, honey. Hey, aren't you're going to a Paracon? God, it's is it in Florida? Where are you going?
Oh gosh, I got 2 things. I got a thing to do in Jasper, Florida on the 11th. And then on the 25th, I'll be in Tampa. And anybody that wants to know and is down in this area and that can attend can find all the information on my Facebook page. Then George and I head up to Rhode Island for the Ocean State Paracon in beautiful downtown Harrisville, right where the farm is located in that town. And that's a 2-day event. And then I'll be in Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in August. Then I'll be back to Michigan in October. And George is coming with me, I think, on the first of those 2 trips. I can't keep up. But what I would like to do before we go, if I could,
yes.
In a Flicker is making a big splash. InAFlickerNovel.com. I would encourage anybody and everybody to go check out this book. I can brag on it because George Lopez is the genius who came up with this incredible idea right from the ether, implanted in his mind a quarter of a century ago. And when he told me the story, we turned it into this incredible novel that has gotten almost exclusively 5-star reviews from all over the world, except for one jerk who said, "Oh, it was okay." It's like, okay, you go write something better than that, you imbecile.
Yeah.
You know? But other than that, nothing but 5-star reviews, you know, and then that 1 4 to, you know, just to.
And what about your? Now, what
I just
about?
want to encourage people to read it because it really, I'm so proud of it, Norene. It's a wonderful story.
I know the story. Now, what about your 3 books? I'm showing them now.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you know, it's there's something very mystical and magical about this trilogy that I never expected. People who need to read it find it, or it finds them, and it's changing minds. It's opening hearts all over the world. I've sold close to 100,000 books now, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I mean, when I think of how many people don't even know that there's a real story behind The Conjuring yet, it makes me heartened that it will make its way out into the world more and more so. There are people being born now that will read these books in 18 years.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I feel good about having made a contribution to the paranormal field. My trilogy is being taught as seminars in colleges and universities by professors around the country. You know, that to me, that's the highest form of flattery. It's better than the Pulitzer Prize as far as I'm concerned. You know, that it's reaching out. It's expanding human consciousness, and that's its gift.
And your radio show every Tuesday with George. I'm showing that as well.
Yes, Georgie Porgy. Yeah, he's a piece of work.
You guys share an intelligence together that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, sparks fly. They do. We're just tossing our pebbles in the pond, trying to make a difference in the world, trying to, you know, spread messages of hope and love and peace and light. And the more we think and keep our focus on what is good and pure and true and kind and generous and loving in this world towards each other and our fellow human beings and the creatures of this planet and the beings above us and around us that want to interact with us and love us back. If we continue to just keep doing what we're doing, we are changing the world for the better. All of us that put that beautiful intention behind our thoughts and behind our deeds, our actions towards one another, even if it's something as just a simple smile in passing, you don't know how it affects that person. It's unquantifiable, but it does make a difference. And that's the message that I want to leave everyone with. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Use it.
Absolutely, honey. Absolutely. And I love you. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show again. Anytime you can send me a message and say, hey, I want to do this. Let's do it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
hey, have a great time. You got so much going on. Have a great time and be safe, okay?
Thank you. I sure will. I love you dearly.
I
We'll
love.
talk again soon.
Thanks, honey. I love you too. Good night. Thank you. Good
Honey.
night. Good night. Whoops. Oh man, was that awesome? Okay, I'm gonna do shout outs. Andrea is absolutely awesome. Oh, come on. I hope you guys really enjoyed the show because I love having Andrea on. I don't know if this is number 7 or number 8, but she always has something to say, and I have fun with her. I absolutely have fun with her. She's absolutely, you guys have no idea how brilliant that woman is. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to do shout outs. Now, somebody said about Dave. Yes, Dave is coming on the show with me. Oh, I'm not. Oh, God, next week I got a fabulous guest. Darn, I keep forgetting to bring my calendar with me. It's on witches. This fella, his name is Din Parsons, and he goes way back. I'm really excited about next week's guest. Also, oh, Andrea, she already sent me a message. I adore you too. Dave is coming on the show. Oh my God, what is it? Can't remember. Anyway, he's going to do Bobby Mackey's with me. We're going to do the show on Bobby Mackey's. We're going to talk about the history and the hauntings. And then, Dave did an investigation at Bobby Mackey's, and he's going to present his evidence on the show as well. So that's going to be a really good show. And I'm trying to get Dave and David Weatherly back on the show, too, to talk about their last adventures that they were on last week, because I talked to them every day when they were out on the field. Unbelievable what they have done. And Dave's going to start posting some of those videos. Anyway, I got a great show next week too. It's on witches, and I like I said, I don't have my calendar with me. And Jeremy Legas, I didn't see Jeremy in the show tonight, but Jeremy Legas is usually in the chat room, and we are doing a show. I think it's July 28th. He is a mortician, and we're going to talk about a mortician's job, a mortician's life, and what goes on. And I'm really fascinated about that. I've always wondered about the embalming and what goes on in a funeral home, and what paranormal experiences they also experience. So I'm really excited about that. I wish Jeremy was in the chat room tonight. All right, so oh guys, and don't forget Monday night. Don't forget Horsefly Chronicles. I don't know who the guest is yet. Carissa hasn't told me, but Manicotti, you guys, and Andrew was talking about the cannolis. Actually, we were talking about cannolis the other day. I want to go to North Beach. Has a fabulous Italian deli and bakery where they make the cannolis are out of this world. It's just like in New Jersey. They are delicious, and I love Manicotti's. Okay, so let me do some shout outs. But anyway, don't forget, guys, Monday night. Actually, the Horsefly Chronicles has become very addicting, and the viewers really love. They really love the new series. So, I hope you join us. If you haven't already, I hope you join us. Oh, really, David? Okay, well, I'm really excited about doing that show. I can't wait. I see, Lies, you had deja vu. What? Oh, thanks, Royce. Oh, I know, thanks to my mods, Sweet Annie and Royce, and I don't know if Crystal was in or not. But I saw Annie, Sweet Annie, and Royce. Thanks, guys, so much. What was the deja vu? Oh, on the part you said, what, honey? What did I say? Oh, I'm glad. Oh, yeah, Yaz. Hi, Yaz. I haven't seen you in a long time. Have you been following the Horsefly Chronicles? Oh, Miguel M. Happy birthday. It's his birthday. Everybody wish Miguel happy birthday. It's on June 4th, Saturday. Happy birthday. All right, so let's do some. It is addictive, I'm telling you. It is addictive. Oh, there you are, Crystal. Yay. All right, so let's do some shout outs. Okay, Zoe Small, Lynn Bowling, Crystal Triplet, Andrew Cox, there you are. Aaron Kemp, River, thanks River. I haven't seen you for a while. River, yay. My unique Annie, Jero Jimenez, David Coffin, Tommy Roberts, Yas Pitton, I See Lies, Aaron Kemp, Super Witchy Gamer. I missed your question? I didn't see it, honey. I'm sorry. She'll be on again. Andrea will be on again. B Singer 11, Tammy, Nancy Suplavita, Miguel M, of course, Lully Tooby, there, Sarah Farnham, Griffin Corcoran, Margarita Harveth, any 77. Oh my God, I used to love that show. 77 Sunset Strip. Oh my God, I love that show. Russell Higgendorf, John Rad, Starry Night. Hi, honey. Anybody else want to shout out? Yes, Lolly Tooby, I did. I didn't forget. Anybody else? That was real. Don't forget, guys, keep your vibration up. Think positive all the time and think good thoughts. Anybody else want to shout out? Debbie Gale. Carl White. Hi, Carl. Mike, there you are. Did you? Andrea answered your question, honey. I hope you heard it. Thanks, Mike. Haunted Roads Media is Mike Ricksecker. Mike's been on the show several times, and he is coming back. I love Mike. Nora Miles. Anybody else? Oh God. And remember, you guys, if you ever feel depressed or not happy, think good thoughts. Play music that you love, that makes you happy. It really works. Oh, thanks, Lily. Anybody else want to shout out? Sarah? Yes, Sarah. What's that, Starry Night? To Sarah? Oh, hey guys, don't forget, I have a like page on Facebook. It's Caitlin West. You're welcome. I have oh my God, I have a fan page, paranormal. Do You Believe fan page on Facebook? Would you guys, would you please go over there for those who are on Facebook and give it a like? I'd really appreciate that. Okay, Miguel. Donella Daywood Love. Anybody else want to shout out? I love you guys, you know that, and I appreciate so much. I appreciate you all, and I appreciate you coming to the show every week. Oh, good, Mike. Good, Mike. Hey, guys, Haunted Roads Media has a YouTube channel. Please go over there. I just adore Mike. He does the morning mug. He puts out these fabulous videos. It's Haunted Roads Media on YouTube. Go over and please subscribe to his channel. Mike's a great guy. Andrew. Okay, guys. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go. Coloring, yeah, if it makes you happy. Coloring music always makes me happy. Music from the 60s, oh my God, it's awesome. Even good movies and comedy movies. and romantic movies. Oh my God, Made in Manhattan. I love that movie. Mystic Pizza. There's so many good movies. I love those. Okay, guys. Anybody else want to shout out? Yes. Where have you been, Yaz? We've missed you. It's been so long. Yaz used to be in our chat room all the time. Yeah, I think Yaz. I think you in Australia? I can't remember. Okay, guys, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I love you guys. Tomorrow it's going to be 100 degrees. I got my air conditioning fixed. My computer didn't shut down. So, everything worked out tonight. And I'm not sweating. I've got all the lights but one on. 5,000 watts of lights, and I'm not sweating. Okay, everybody, good night. I love you guys, and don't forget to go over to my like page on Facebook. It's Do You Believe fan page. I'd really appreciate that. Oh, hi, Carrie. I forgot to say hi to you, Carrie Y. So, night, everybody. I love you guys. Thank you again so much for joining me every week. I so appreciate it. You have no idea. And it's just awesome to see the same ones every week. It's just awesome to see you all. I really appreciate it, and I love you guys. Group hug to everybody. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all back on Monday for another great Horsefly Chronicles series. It's really addicting, and I host I'm on my channel, and I host it, and it's really Carissa and Phil's show. But I sit back and I just really and I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. So everybody, good night. Love you guys, and hope to see you on Monday. Okay? Oh, thanks, Royce. Thank you. So everybody, love you. Good night. Again, thanks to my mods, Royce Hinman, Sweet Annie, and Crystal. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Oh, Lacey Wings. I didn't see you earlier, honey. Anybody else? Okay. I'm gonna go now. Love you. Good night.